All right, Justine, we got us streaming. That's it. Thank you. And Phil Schaefer. Yes, sir.
Okie dokie.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am District 3 Commissioner. Welcome to the District 3 Town Hall. Thank you for coming out this afternoon. I really wanted to put this town hall on for you, the constituents, because Douglas County is going through a lot of transition right now. We're in the middle of SDS and loss with the cities of Austell, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, and you have a part in that, believe it or not. Service delivery strategy and the local option sales tax. That local option sales tax is a credit that you get back on your property assessments. So we're in the middle of negotiating those type of percentages with our cities, and it is a benefit to you, the constituents. We also have possibly the ability to put another SPLOS on the ballot in November. And so we want to know, what have you liked or not liked about the SPLOS that's going on now? I know you've noticed a lot of building around Douglas County over the past 3 or 4 years, some buildings going up, some parks going up. We had a senior center and District 1, 2, 1. I thought it was District 1, Henry Mitchell's district. And there's a possibility that there could be another senior center. We're here at a library, but guess what District 3 doesn't have? A library. We don't have a library in District 3. We don't have a senior center in District 3. We just awarded a contract last night to integrated constructions for another park in District 3. Guess how many parks District 3 currently has? 1. And we have almost more rooftops than any other district, just because we have so many small communities and HOAs. So we definitely need those types of amenities within District 3. If you look around the county, other districts have them. Hey, we're in another district right now that has one and we don't. So I'm here advocating on our behalf for parks, for a STEM library, not just a book depository, but a library that is state of the art. One where you will come in and you can bring your grandkids, but not only will they learn, you will learn, right? So there's some innovative, I think, ideas that we can do in District 3, but I can only do that if you advocate with me. So if you will look towards the wall, you will see some renderings that we have of a proposed library. Now, not only would that library be in District 3 and help the District 3 citizens, but our own Director of Library Services, Lindy, raise your hand. She has asked that we put the main library facilities inside of there. That would be a really huge thing for District 3 and for the constituents. So there's a lot of possibilities, but not only that, trails and parks. We just had a conservation company to come before us, and Bear Creek has decided that they're going to turn the old golf course into a park. That's a beautiful thing because now it can connect to Fouts Mill and all along that side of Douglas County, and that's in District 3. But these things take innovation, they take advocacy, and yes, they take dollars. And how do we do that? SPLOS may be one of those things, because at least with the SPLOS, everybody pays into it and we all get to benefit from it. But those are just some of the ideas, but we want to hear your ideas. So tonight we have with us our SPLOS Communication Director, David Good, and he can field some questions about that. And he'd love to hear your ideas, and he'll let you know where we are with the current SPLOS. We have with us our Deputy Chief Appraiser. She's new to Douglas County. Welcome, Ms. Adrian, and I don't want to mess up your last name.
Larkshield.
Larkshield. So again, We can't do anything if we don't pay our property taxes, right? That helps us to make sure that the facilities and the employees and everybody gets paid, right? This one right here, Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, he keeps us safe, right? He makes sure that Douglas County is a place where whether you live here or you are visiting here, you feel safe here, right? So we have to take care of our Sheriff's Department. And then we have our new E911 director, Katrina Harley. Again, if there is a need for safety or the Sheriff's Department or fire EMS, who do we call? We call 911, and they feel that, and they make sure that they dispatch the proper entities to where you are. And then, of course, we have Phil Schaefer, our zoning administrator. Now, everybody knows that Douglas County has a lot of growth going on, right? But a lot of that was pre-planned before I ever stepped on the scene. A lot of that was probably pre-planned before Phil ever stepped on the scene. So when something pops up in the county and you're going, well, wait a minute, I don't want that Dollar Tree there, or I don't want that Waffle House there. Guess what? Somebody said they wanted it there, retail-wise. And if that area is zoned for that, commissioners really can't do anything, because if we do, guess what happens? We get a lawsuit. So we can't stop what's already there, but guess who can? You. Right now, we're getting ready to go through a comprehensive plan update for Douglas County. So over the next 6 months, we will have different meetings throughout the county. I beg you, please show up to these meetings. Tell the planners what you want to see in your distinctive areas. If you don't want any more retail on Chapel Hill Road and you only want residential areas, tell them. If you want a warehouse in the middle of District 3, tell them. You have to let us know, because for the next 10 years, how that area is developed really depends on what is brought to the table and what the visionaries and the planners get from you, the constituents. So if I don't hear from you, if they don't hear from you, if there isn't a room packed out like this, then guess what? If Walmart comes in because we didn't redistrict it or we didn't rezone it correctly, can't be mad because y'all didn't show up. Is that fair? It's fair, because you all get to dictate what goes on in your districts. There are certain nodes of the county, it's already dictated where the warehouses will go. There's no more warehouses probably going in that area. Guess where they're coming? District 3 and District 4. You know why? Because there's property out there. I have a Waffle House and a Dollar General going on Chapel Hill right now. It pains me. I called him. I said, how can I stop it? He says, Commissioner, you can't. It was already zoned that way.
Is that right across from the junior high?
Right across from the junior high. These things matter. And how do we dictate that? Right now. So in the next 6 months, I don't want to just see you. I want to see your neighbor at these meetings. We want to hear from you. We want you to write it down. We want you to put it in the box. We want you to tell Phil. We want to know, because it helps us to make the case when a Walmart or Dollar General shows up and we go, oh no, you can't be right there. Well, no, we want a variance now. Or well, we want you to rezone it. No. My constituents already spoke. They spoke in 2022 and 2023. They said they don't want that there. So if you try to put that there and you try to sway us, they're going to show up because they've already spoken. That's how you affect change. So again, I thank you. I've welcomed you. I will now ask you any questions that you have. Please go to the podium, because that way anybody that is on Facebook or we're taping this, then they will be able to hear your question. But in the meantime, I will turn it over to, we'll start with Phil Schaefer. And again, I've already introduced them, but they'll introduce themselves and they'll let you know a little bit about what they do in Douglas County. And again, thank you for coming.
I got one quick question.
If you'll go to the podium for me right
Okay,
after.
That's what I was going to ask.
Oh, sure.
Folks talk, if we have questions, we just need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Do you want us to go? So Phil Schaefer, zoning administrator. Before I came to the county, I was the zoning administrator for the city as well. Worked there for a while. Rewrote their city code. We've rewritten the county code as well. I've been in the business for about 30 years. I got my planning master's in 93. Worked all over the country in many different jurisdictions. I will say Georgia's fairly unique as far as laws are concerned. They don't have the same laws as other states in the country. And so some of what you will come to me and ask me to do to prevent things or to encourage things can be done here and can't be done elsewhere, just as a kind of clue as to how Georgia does business. Madam Chair has always said we're open for business. So in the planning department, when we get these kinds of requests, we approach them as we're open for business. I will just let you know, I know Commissioner Carthan may not be aware yet because she hasn't seen plans. We don't bring detailed building plans before the commissioners, but right now I'm looking at building plans for about $5 to $6 billion worth of warehousing going in as data centers over off the Thornton Road area. That's not yet built. We already have several $1 billion worth of data centers built between Switch, Google, now Microsoft. We are now seeing the rest of the shoes drop. So if you have zoning questions, I'm welcome to answer them. Been in the business a long time, can help with a lot of different things. And I'll turn it over to our E911 director. Thank you. Oh, you have so you don't want to go through everybody? Okay.
I'm too short for this. Hello.
Howdy.
And I don't know if you can answer this question tonight. You may have to get back with me, but I'm curious as what the existing code restrictions are for, or zoning restrictions for Little Bear Creek, and Dog River.
So they're very different. For instance, zoning restrictions are a zone category. So when you say Dog River, you're actually talking about a basin.
Yes.
And when you're talking about basin restrictions, then we do have a 3-acre minimum lot size in the Dog River. We have some regular normal zoning restrictions for residential zoning, commercial zoning in all of those basins. In Bear Creek, there isn't a lot size restriction, but there's a lot coverage restriction. 25% of the lot can be covered. In Dog River, it's 18% of the lot can be covered with impervious. So rooftop, paving, that kind of thing. So you're asking multiple aspects to a question when you ask me, what are the zoning restrictions in those various basins?
Okay, let me kind of narrow it down. When I first built my home near Little Bear Creek, I was told there was either a 3 or 5 acre
True.
restriction.
Yeah, there's a section of Bear Creek that is called a state overlay district. That's an overlay. So I don't want to get too into the weeds with how zoning works, but there's regular old zoning. We paint a color on the dirt itself, and that's what dictates what you can do and how you have to do it. But sitting up in the air is what we call overlay districts. They're only invoked when you come to us and we see that you're underneath that umbrella that covers you. And so Bear Creek does have a section in there that requires, again, a 3-acre minimum. It's the estate overlay district. And it's just south of the golf course. It's not all of Bear Creek. It's just a piece of it. And that's been holding up development on several large tracts off Highway 166 for many years now, because we get calls all the time. Well, what can I do here? Can you connect to sewer? Can you do this? Can you do that? No, then you're really limited in what you can do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, I'm Craig McManus. I'm a certified arborist, and I want to know, are we going to really get serious about protecting our trees? And then when you do the new planning, are we going to get serious about a tree ordinance that where we really update it into the 2020, into this century? Is there plans for that?
So there's no specific plans for how to deal with what you're saying. However, I will suggest that our tree ordinance does require a certain amount
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah,
Very familiar with it.
to
and
be
you're not
safe.
enforcing it.
No, I would suggest that the several $1 million we've received from companies for clear cutting is enforcing it.
No, but you're not applying it. That's what
Well-
I'm talking about. And you don't follow up with it when trees die to get it replaced. So that's where you don't have who's your arborist? Who's your county arborist?
The assistant county engineer, Travis McDonald, he's been there for a number of years.
Yeah, since Scott Daniel left?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I differ with you on the ordinance is way, way, way out of date.
Well, give me the new one.
I've got one written in the city of Douglasville. I'm on the city of Douglasville tree board, and we've got one written. I hope you'll adopt it.
When did you fix
It
it?
hasn't been passed,
Okay,
but
because I was going to say, I rewrote the city code a few years
well,
ago.
I hope it's better than that one.
Well, I don't know. what
It
your-
is horrible.
Whatever
and we
it was.
have-
Yeah, I didn't
If
change. what it
you're
was.
responsible for that, I hope we don't get that in the county.
No, I don't know what to change it to. I'm not an arborist. I mean, I have an
Right. We've
environmental biology degree.
We've got an up-to-date one already written. Be glad to pass it on to
Yeah,
you.
just send it over.
Okay. But it's something really serious. If we don't take care of our trees, we have all this development going on, but we're not replacing those trees at all to the extent that they need to be replaced. And I hope that we'll get really, really serious about enforcing that.
Yeah, well, we'll meet with you. Travis will be happy to take any kind of input.
Yeah, great. When we get to ask transportation questions.
At the splost, when we get to.
No, I'm talking about something current going on. When do we get to ask transportation? Now? Okay, on the Highway 5 roundabout that is the state, I know it's a state project, and I know that they sent out a proposal on it 10 years ago to do that. And the latest one that I think is a really silly idea is they're not going westbound on Dorset Shoals Road at Highway 5. They're making everybody turn north and go north. So you can't go south if you come in from Dorset Shoals. On the original proposal, it was tied into the roundabout. And the answer the state says is, well, to go south, you got to go up Mason Creek Road and turn left on Highway 5 and come down, which is very silly. Also, if you've ever been in there when there's any traffic coming through that intersection. So I'm hoping somebody's addressing this because they're going to spend millions of dollars on a dysfunctional intersection. So don't know.
Thank you for that. I can't answer for the state. I can tell you it is a state highway and our
I know,
small
but-
portion of it, we are addressing. But
But we've got a transportation department that
We
should
do.
be voicing very strong opinions about silly things like this. And so I hope they've looked at it because the people at the state don't have a clue on this. So
well, look,
just,
I do want to say thank you for bringing that. And if you will email me regarding the ordinance
yeah,
so that I have it down so that when they bring it, we have who is tied to, which is a constituent.
sure.
So then I will know who to call when we have that ordinance brought up so that you can
Okay.
bring people with you to advocate on this behalf.
I mean, do I have to bring people with me or do we have?
I would just say, yeah, I'm only one vote, but it takes 3 to get anything passed in Douglas County. So you
Right.
got to convince 2 other commissioners that we need to change that ordinance.
Okay, we can
So,
get a crowd out.
All right,
All right, thanks.
sounds good. Thank you. Any more planning and zoning?
Here, hi, how are you? So my name's Nikki, and we recently moved over this from Paulding County, Douglasville to Douglas. So the neighborhood that we moved into is Glen Laurel at Williams Estates. So the Hedgestone Way driveway or road that goes through our neighborhood used to be Pumpkin Town Road. And I know historically our concern is the public going to be able to come through our neighborhood to go to the new preserve? And so because on the map, it still lists Hedgestone Way as Pumpkin Town Road. So we just need to know what's going on and are we going to have any concerns regarding that coming through our neighborhood?
So it will not be coming through your neighborhood. It will come directly down Pumpkin Town Road off of Kings Highway. and it dead ends into the property.
And then you'll just have to come back out
You'll
of
have to
that.
come back off of that, and it backs up to, I think the properties that they're building now are those $500,000 homes that's in the
Yes.
back of there.
Mhm.
Right, so they have agreed to give the county,
Because they have a reservoir or something back over
Exactly.
there.
exactly,
Okay.
so no, to answer your question, no ma'am.
Okay, and I also want to say thanks. I really didn't get involved. And then I saw some information about it last night. And I saw that you said, come to the meeting. So I came, I dragged my husband. And so I'll be sure to make sure that I come to these meetings where it's not just about my neighborhood, but it's about Douglasville as a whole.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
I have lots of questions about Punkintown
Okay.
Road, so we might as well get it over with. There you go. I'm short, I can't help it. Got short people syndrome. I know that last night there was $1,213,680.76 that was approved for Punkintown Park. You know very well my stance on this, so you and I go way back on this. But I have a couple of questions. The entry drive, is it going to be paved or gravel?
So the specs that we were given stated that it would be gravel. However, it has to be ADA compliant, and we've even been asked if we can pave that so that residents who are wheelchair bound or have sight issues can actually access that park. So that is something that
Well, why couldn't the walking path be paved for those people instead of putting down pavement when we were promised that it would not happen?
I don't know who promised you that, but
Well, you told me it would definitely be gravel because the county didn't have enough money.
exactly. But
And Mike Mulcair, who was our district commissioner prior to that, said the same thing.
But if we are to have kids down there who may come on buses, which is one of the things that we anticipate, even with the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, some of those may be it needs to be ADA compliant. So again, that would have to be determined between the county policies on being ADA compliant and the site planner for that park. So
Okay.
I can better answer you once they give us their renderings for it, and then we can better look at it, and then I can better give you a truthful answer.
Okay, my concern is the money has already been allocated, and there's a big difference between the amount of money it costs to gravel something and the amount of money it costs to pave something. So where do we say, wait a minute, stop? We need to get this situated. And the same thing goes for the parking area.
Mhm.
You and I talked about
Exactly,
that. And
exactly.
is that going to be paved now instead of gravel?
I'm going to give you the same answer. Again, you do know we do have a bridge that's going in. All of these things. will
No,
not-
I did. The
There
only
is
thing,
there is a bridge going in, and that's one of the things.
where's the bridge going? That was
So the
another
bridge
question
is
because I
the-
saw something on the rendering that I
Yeah.
have.
The bridge is actually at the point where you can cross over the water, the creek, to get to the other side. That was one of the issues that was brought to our attention, that if something happened, the trails weren't big enough for a EMS.
Yeah,
to
ambulance,
get an
fire
ambulance or
trucks.
EMS, to get crossed there. And so that's when the bridge was brought in. So again, all that kind of depends on the site developer for that. What I can do though, as soon as Gary Dukes takes a look at it, since we've gotten approved now, and sits down with integrated construction, I can definitely invite you in. It's all over records. It's all public. I can definitely invite you into the meeting and
Yeah, I
get it
sent him.
firsthand.
I
You can
sent
get it
him a
firsthand when I
pretty-
get
yeah. I sent him a pretty lengthy email today and I copied you. So,
Okay, good.
because I
good.
was talking about you, so I didn't want to talk about you, not let you know.
That's right. Say it in my face.
I will. You know me.
Yes.
Okay, when you bring up that, and how much is that bridge going to cost?
Don't quote me on this, but I want to say the bridge was around 100,000. Not quite sure, but I think that's what the cost of the bridge is. It could be a little bit more, but that's in the integrated construction quote. I don't have that bid or that quote with me. We
Okay.
went with the lowest bidder, and they were the lowest bidder for that project.
Was the funds that were allocated and approved to purchase the walking bridge from the city of Douglasville, which was not for sale at the time, where have those funds gone? I think it was it 100,000 or $500,000, or I think it was pretty hefty amount of money.
What walking bridge?
The one that you requested money be given to purchase the city of Douglasville's bridge that goes over.
That was from the old jail?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's not for sale. I know
No, it's
that.
not for sale, right?
But where did that money go to? Because it was already approved.
That money was not necessarily approved for that particular thing. And
Mm.
also Gary Dukes was just giving us an estimate of what he thought. I think he may
No,
have talking to,
Yeah, in the
I think he
meeting,
may have spoken,
in
I
the
think he
meeting,
may
the
have
commissioners
spoken.
voted and approved that money.
I think he may have spoken to someone at the city at the time who were getting, who was possibly going to get rid of it. And that was the thought. I don't know where that particular
Well,
amount came from.
I
Let me be
actually,
real honest.
yeah.
But I will tell
actually-
you, bridges are not cheap. So
Oh,
the
no, they're
cost of the
not.
bridge, but constructing it, bringing it in, the footings for that,
Yeah.
that's going to be where the cost is. It's
There
not
was-
necessarily the
yes.
bridge.
There was a estimate a few years back that was $500,000.
Oh, got you. See, I didn't see that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I'm just,
So you
Just-
got
just
more
give you a
history.
heads up.
See, I was about to say, you got more history on this Pumpkin Town. I inherited it, but since I inherited it, I wanted to make sure that one, it was safe, two, that it was nice, three, that it was accessible to everybody in the county who wanted to access it. It's absolutely beautiful property, because you're right there. And so, the gate that, you all asked, the security cameras, those are included. So from my point where I made sure that if I lived there, I would want these things there if you're going to put a park
yeah,
next to my
we
house.
don't currently have a gate.
Right,
That's
exactly.
never been taken care of.
Right.
I know that the neighbor's property that butts up to the park property was promised fencing, and he got signs. He's had several people wander through the woods and come up to his property. He's had to call the sheriff, that dude right there.
Mhm.
And, it's already, before the park's even open, it's already causing issues. The other thing I don't understand. So far, there's been $750,000 allocated to the park, and that's not including what's in SPLOST. So that was my question to you. What
There
amount
is-
of money is in
There is
SPLOST?
no amount of money in SPLOST for Pumpkin Town. Pumpkin Town is not a SPLOST project. So I think there
There
was.
used to be. Who took it out?
I'm David Good, SPOS Communications Director. At one time, there was a thing called the below the line. So if there was additional monies, it would be there. Pumpkin Town was at the very bottom of that list. So if there was any money that was going to be left over, it would go towards that project. But if there was never any amount of money that was put there, it was just when someone said, hey, we might have something in Pumpkin Town, they just put that on the list. But there was never any money associated with that part.
Okay.
Mhm.
So my other question is, with the
We have, I think, two
1,200,000,
more behind you. So you'll make this your last
Okay.
question.
with the 1,200,000 and $750 that's already been allocated,
Mhm.
that's over $2 million for a passive park. Can you explain to me where that money's going? What is it being used? Oh, and 46,000 for the toilets that have already been allocated. So where is all this money going?
So when it was originally planned, when Gary Dukes and I talked about it, he assured me $750,000 should do it. When we got back the bids, there was no bid for $750,000. As a matter of fact, one of the bids went all the way up to $2 million for that park. We picked the lowest bid. Again, that park can't be turned into anything else because it was donated to the county under the auspice that it would be a park. We
I
cannot
understand
make it anything else. And so we're living up to our end of the bargain. Again, like I just told you, if it was a park next to my house, I would want it to be something that I would want other people to come to. So as much as I can, I'm trying to make it nice, I'm trying to make it safe, and I'm trying to hold up the county's end of receiving that acreage.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate your passion for wanting everybody in the county to be able to enjoy it. I have a true concern that I don't know how many of you folks know what Punkintown Road looks like. They're 3 to 5 to 15 to 20 acre homes, very quiet, very secluded, and we're going to get an influx of thousands of people on our road. I had asked several times, WSA has an easement that goes all the way back. Why can't we work with WSA and do something with that easement? But we're going to spend millions of dollars. And initially, this $2 million is only looking at 7 acres.
You will now have access to the entire,
Is that an
Entire
actual
park.
driving bridge or just a walking bridge?
no, that's a driving bridge so that an emergency vehicle can get over that bridge.
Okay, so
Yes,
is that included in this 2 million?
it is. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'd like to see the cost on that, but
Okay.
I've
Again, it's
I've
open
already-
records.
yeah, I've already
as-
requested
I was
open
about to say,
records for the
as
bid.
integrated construction starts to do it, we just awarded it last night. So as they get into it, have at it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
keep in touch.
You know I will.
Hi,
Hi.
I don't get to come to many of these meetings. I thought when I retired I would, but I stay busier now that I'm retired than I did before. But I have a concern that I've brought up to several people and nobody has seemed to do anything about it. As a matter of fact, it's gotten a lot worse. I'm a senior citizen, so security is a big thing for me. And I see the homeless around here, the villages going up everywhere. We are starting to look like Los Angeles. And I think our officials and even the sheriff's department has some things they do and the judge does some things and some community people do things. They're not going away. They're getting more and more are coming. And everywhere you look, even by the courthouse, there's villages, right? I was a senior citizen, went to walk around the senior citizen center and there's tents in the woods. So I don't know why the city and the county cannot hold the property owners accountable for making these go away. One of the worst ones is right as you're coming down the interstate. And that's why they don't have a big sign, welcome to Douglasville or Douglas County right there, because there's nothing but a homeless village is all you see coming from Villa Rica, getting off at Highway 5. They cleared it all out, took two dumpsters full of trash that the city or county one paid for to haul all that mess off. They're back with vengeance. There's more of them there now, and there's 2 villages there instead of 1. And these are happening behind every Kroger, behind the post office, you name it, they're there. So I would like to know, what is the plan to deal with the homeless situation? And I think it goes along with the begging as well. You need to hold the property owners accountable for the people standing out. You can't go anywhere without people begging for money. I mean, it's just become, and I'll tell you why that I think that is. The people of Douglas County are very generous. And the fire department knows that. They used to come to Douglasville because that's where they collected the most money. But I think we've just become the hangout. There's a lot of stuff going on in Cobb County that's pushing all of them this way. They don't allow Section 8 housing anymore. There's a lot of stuff happening that's bringing all that here. So I would like to know what y'all plan to do about it.
Well, you're the first person to ask me what we plan to do about it. So let me take your concern now that it's on camera and you've actually asked me. Let me take it back to the commissioners and let's see what we can come up with. But thank
But
you
as
for
a
that.
senior citizen, I don't even feel comfortable walking anywhere pretty much in the city or the county that has a wooded area, because the chances of there being a homeless village there is very high.
Right.
And, you know, I've tried to get these people in contact with some of the agency. They don't want that. They want to live like that. And they want to, and they pee, they poop there. That goes into our water system. So I don't know why it's not an environmental issue.
Yeah, Douglas County doesn't have a shelter to even assist with that. I don't think the city does either. I think we've, tried to use some of the facilities, open it up when it's really, really cold for them. But as in terms of, what we can do, again, you say hold the county, hold the property owners accountable. There's a lot. Not only is there a homeless problem, there's a shortage of housing, affordable housing in Douglas County. So there are a myriad
Well, they
of
don't
problems.
want a lot of low income housing here, and that's what we're getting.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, I was on the committee for the Highway 5 corridor.
Mhm.
And the one thing the citizens that were there said is they don't want low income, high density housing. The people from the city and the people on that committee that was with the developers requested to the city that it be low income, high density housing put there. So it's like we don't matter, as we don't have the money that the developers have. But I don't know, but the homeless situation to me is getting, it's not getting bad, it's been bad.
Got you.
And that, that state property, and honestly, for 1 year, the state said to go to county said to go. I went back and forth for 1 year. I finally got a hold of some guy at the state that handles that particular strip of thing, and they gave them permission to go on there and clean it off, but they were back in less than 2 weeks. So I just think we can't beautify our county
if you can,
if it looks like a dump.
Got you. If you can, please email me. I'll give you my card and we
Okay.
can talk about it. We'll see.
We'll
see. I can't make any promises, but
sympathy for anybody down on their luck as anybody, but these are people who choose to live that way, and they choose to just make our neighborhoods look like trash.
Thank you. Next question. I know this one isn't for me, so I'm going to sit down.
I already spoke to you, if you already know all the. Did not know about a new library and park. I hope that everybody here, especially law enforcement, thinks of a modern new way of looking at not letting things happen that have happened in Texas concerning shooters. We definitely need, don't build it if you can't secure it. Okay, just, it ain't worth it. It's super sad. First time I met with Phil over here was during the variance meeting we had last month. And I want to make everybody aware of this, and that's all I'm going to say. I live approximately 1 mile south on Chapel Hill Road. This is where the 4 lanes squeeze down to 2 lanes. Now, I've been living there 32 years. As a matter of fact, I've got more than several properties up and down the Chapel Hill corridor. And every day for all those years, I noticed this house. It's called 3032 Chapel Hill Road. It's a brick ranch. It sits on just over an acre lot. And over the years, it's been looking better and better and better. Really impressed. Come January of 20, a couple bought that place, and not been known to anybody else. A lot of things start happening on this lot right there on Chapel Hill Road. And I think as of during the variance meeting where I contested everything that's being said, this couple had approval for an in-home nail salon. However, we see a large 4-bay truck bay garage going up in the back. Just about every square foot of that acre plus is now been gravelled. Okay. There were 5th wheel RVs parked nice and neatly next to the house into the gravel. Then I see this individual, he is digging into the easement right at the telephone poles. And several times I went down to planning and zoning and made my concerns known over and over and over. Apparently, I found out tonight that Phil over there busted them for hooking power, sewer, and water into those RVs. Okay. I met with the neighbor. At the time, they were asking for multiple variances, okay, concerning multiple garages they wanted, okay, for a nail salon. And it seemed to me that the variance committee was helping them. Members were asking, what we could do about moving the building up 2.5 feet and impeding on the people at Pregnancy Resource Center because they wanted to take down their carport and build a big garage on that side too, which they needed a variance for. And it was all just being done. I'm glad that most of the variance committee voted to turn that down. Okay, this is, 13 plus pallets of block. I'm sure that a concrete wall was fixing to go up in Chapel Hill Road. The lady that owns that property said that she needs that truck garage for her Bobcat. She has work that she needs to do, and her exact quote was, "I have other property and I have trees there, and they need to come down." Okay, not disclosing where that other property sits. Why does she need a truck garage? Well, it's for those RVs that were parked there. They were going in and getting service. And I know this because for me to get out of my neighborhood, they can't get into their driveway because it's so narrow, and they had built brick columns on either side with a gate. So they would pull into the neighborhood across the street, go down to the cul-de-sac, turn around, come back so they could face straight in. Okay, this is not a nail salon. Okay. Found out after the variance meeting that 400 feet closer to I-20, they also bought the yellow house next to the Mormon church, between the Palm Reader and the Mormon church. They bought all that property too. So I want to make everybody aware, something needs to stop there. There's just nothing but dirt because I pulled up behind the Pregnancy Resource Center. There's a parking lot back there. It's public, it's used for their services. How do I know that? I used to volunteer, do work there for them. So I pull in that back parking lot, and just about every square foot has got no grass across all that backyard. It's just dirt. So with that big building. So as of the variance meeting, I see a new facade going on this metal building. So I'm not happy to see that perhaps they moved it and got a permit for this thing. It is just a mess. Okay, okay, I said it. So if you ever channel through Chapel Hill Road, the subdivision is called Jamestown Forest, where I live and have other properties. Okay, it is extremely difficult to get out there, period. Okay, I think they have every intention on, and there was nothing. She had 20 minutes to answer all the questions for the variance committee. I got 2 minutes and I was told to sit down. So and she got to elaborate how her children found that the grass was uneven and they had to come in and gravel everything super smooth. Didn't she say that? Okay. She had tore down her carport next to her house 3-4 days prior to this variance meeting. I guess fully anticipating that all this would be approved. Okay, this thing came down. So I'm hoping that everybody's aware. And so when they appear before planning and zoning, that you spank them because they've been bad. Thank you much.
Hello, planning question. Start off with a question. Are we able to access the various requests for plans or zoning or meetings like that online?
For cases that go before the planning, for cases go before either the Board of County Commissioners in their combined hearing with the Planning Commission for zoning cases, you can go to the website for the commissioners. When you look up the agenda items will be for planning and zoning, as opposed to the Board of Commissioners only. For the variance board, it's different though. Those are not on that same, well, actually they are, they're at the bottom. So if you go to the same area, there'll be a variance agenda, and each agenda item has the same things that we send out to everybody. So you can see the case staff report, you can see the attachments, and if there's any other materials that came in with the application, it should be there as part of the overall agenda item. So
Okay.
if any of you are used to looking at the Board of Commissioners agenda items to see what's attached to any of the agenda items themselves, that's where you'll find our staff reports and everything else that goes with it.
Okay, and I'm a little bit newer, so I'm not used to the process.
Oh, okay.
And so I wanted to make sure, number one, because I do live close by the, I guess, upcoming Waffle House and all of that. And I saw that on Nextdoor. And I thought it was just a rumor, so I didn't really pay it too much attention.
Sorry.
But yeah, that's how come I'm a little surprised today. But now with that, the signage that goes up every now and then, the yellow signs that tell you you need to show up at a variance meeting or something like that, the directions that those are posted are not in a way so as that if you're driving, and sometimes you're in places where you can't stop, you'll have to kind of park your car somewhere and figure out how you're going to walk along the interstate to get to that sign to read what's happening. And it's some things that are happening close by my home, and I'd like to know more about that. And I was wondering if sometimes it's just a placement of the sign instead of having it being, having it in the same direction so that all signs that a driver is to read,
Right.
they're, you're driving down the road and you can kind of slow down and just look at it. So the positioning of those signs is a little bit challenging. That was something that I just kind of wanted to bring up too.
Yeah, that's always been the case. No matter what jurisdiction I've worked in, it's always been signage is hard. It used to be that we would put the signs out, but because it got to be kind of burdensome, we actually have the applicants. We make a map for them. They're supposed to put them so many 100 feet apart, supposed to face them to the road. If you ever see a yellow sign on a property in the county, just call the department and ask if you can catch the address or something nearby, because we'll always be able to know what it is when there's a sign up.
Okay, and those generally tell us when the meetings are
Yes.
though, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I've been driving past the sign, wanting to get to it. And that's why I was asking about the website. So
Sure.
if I can just go to a website and
We're-
find this information.
And we're working on that so that when,
Okay.
so the county, if you go to planning and zoning, or we'll just go celebratedouglascounty.com, you come to the zoning page, the homepage, we have a bunch of selections. One of them is the map. So you can click on a GIS map to look at the whole county, see what your zoning is. What we're trying to do is get that map changed over so you can pick a property. And if there's actually something going on there, you'll be able to pull that up.
That's what I want.
We're a little bit away from that, but we are working on that.
Is that a GIS map?
It's the GIS map. yeah.
Okay, that's what I want.
Right now, all you'll be able to see is property information, zoning, floodplain, topography, the choices that are there now. But eventually we'll put that map together. It's probably going to take a minute and a half because the GIS department needs new servers. We had to do a whole bunch of technology things to get to that. But we've got files that are scanned and we've got PDF images of all the pieces of paper that were in those things. And as soon as we can put those together with your tax ID number, when we marry those two up, we can put them on the map.
Commissioner, can I ask that that be a priority? And the reason why is because, again, when we're looking at development, all these things that everyone's talking about, We've got concerns as far as development that's taking place in the community, but we need to be able to participate. And if we can't find out until after the fact, that's where people are kind of slipping these things in on us. And, as residents, we try to do our due diligence, we try to help out, but, we also need tools too. And we can't overburden the county, the staff, and asking all these questions. So can we make that a priority that we get that technology so is that?
Oh, yeah, it's a high priority right now. Believe me.
Okay.
It's like a minute and a half only because the technology from the GIS side isn't there yet. We're scanning as we go forward. We are actively scanning all the files right now. So paper becomes electric. An electronic file can be geocoded. And once you geocode it, you can tie it back to the map. So we're physically doing that with all our files right now.
Okay.
When we can get the software from GIS to query the location of the files that we've now geocoded, then you can marry the two up and pop information onto a map. And
Okay.
then files will be available to you to look at.
If we can just make that even more of a priority, that's my ask. And one more quick question. I would love to be able to click on this little spot and find out what exactly is Bulmar Estates. I've gone to the website. I've been looking around. I can't find any information. This is right by, again, my neighborhood.
I know where you mean.
We're looking at traffic that's going to be coming in. We're already dealing with traffic and, all these different areas. So what exactly is Bulmar Estates?
So Bulmar Estates is 5 lots on Bulmar, fronts Bulmar. All of them are going to have driveways off of Bulmar. What has been holding that one up is WSA, because when you do more than 2 lots as a subdivision, the WSA classifies that as a regular subdivision, a named subdivision. And so for 5 single family homes on the acres that those are going to be on, they must also build a huge stormwater detention facility that will be owned by a homeowners association that we're making them put together and be kept up in perpetuity based on homeowner dues for 5 lots.
Okay.
I want all of you to kind of click off in your mind that that's the most insane thing you could ask someone to do for single family homes. Now, you also know there's a subdivision to the south of that was approved many years ago and is a pipe farm and now is being built out. So there is a subdivision going in on the property to the south. Bulmar Estates was the 5 lots that were carved.
They're going to face Bulmar.
But they're just going to face Bulmar. The rest of that subdivision is to the south.
And what is that?
Yeah, so on Simon Road. So it's, I can't remember how many units it is. I don't have that off the top of my head, but it's over 65 units going in right there. That's been approved though for many, many years. And it's just now we're getting back to those subdivisions that were approved in 08, 09, 10, 11, and they're now being built out. So as
and then this is my only thing that I have to just add to that. Again, as a homeowner, when you're purchasing something, they tell you to do your due diligence. You need to be able to find the information, again, and especially in this market, you didn't have a lot of time to be asking people or whatever, but still, having that website, being able to go in and use technology. We're at a point right now where technology is our best friend. We can all use it at our own time, convenience or whatever. We need it. We need it. And 65 units is a lot to be going in that area. And then I'm now going to just turn to law enforcement because I've asked about speeding on Willow Ridge Road, which ties into that. So when we start adding all these units, when we start adding, the Waffle Houses and all this other stuff here, shortcuts because of the traffic buildup that's on Chapel Hill every day, especially when school is in session, people are going to find the shortcuts that Waze provides them. So they're shortcutting through all of the subdivisions, yes, but speeding has become an issue. So just trying to figure out how do we address all these things? We've got development taking place. We've got more people coming, but then we also have, and then I've been told, I was trying, no sidewalks. Now I'm walking through a subdivision with no sidewalks. A car goes past me about 65 miles per hour in a residential neighborhood. I jump in the grass. I can't take my son out to ride his bike. I was told that I have to call law enforcement about it.
Yes, ma'am. I am Lieutenant Colonel Tavarius Miles. In the back, we have First Lieutenant John Jewell. Wave your hand, John, everybody can see you. So we do have specialized units, and we do exactly that with our traffic safety unit. They'll go to different neighborhoods within the county, and they sit there and they enforce the traffic laws, and especially for speeding. So we are on top of that. Yes, if you will come to us and let us know, we will get someone out there and we will stop that speeding.
Okie dokie. I don't know if it's some traffic calming stuff that we're gonna need, because it's like, that's a, I can't call you for each and every one and that solves the problem. I'm looking for a long-term solution.
I understand, and we will be out there as much as we need to. And if it dies down for a while and it comes back again, call us again. We'll come back out.
Okay, thank you.
Just to pick that back up on you. So to help with the sheriff, there are traffic calming tools that you can put in.
I read about those, yes. I other than speed bumps, but I know that there's other ones that we can put in. Willow Ridge, my subdivision is not one that has a HOA or something like that. I don't know if that's something that we have to work with the county directly on, or how that works, because we don't have a subdivision.
There is a process. If you call, we can work through the way the law is written, so you can understand how to process that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I don't know who to address this to, but I wanted to know what is happening with the Connect Douglas bus service. As of today, there's been a new person appointed to oversee and improve this project, but nothing seems to have changed since our last meeting, which was pretty important, April 13th. This person that's in charge now, he's making pretty good money. And I don't see any change at all. And I try to get information, and they're working on it. Certain things seems like, you would know when you're being put off. And it's not a good feeling. I like some answers, because this is a 3-year. It's been since it's been in inception, and just like to know.
So to answer your question, we did just appoint a new director. Director Ron Roberts is now over the transit. Connect Douglas is what he's taking over. He inherited quite a lot, but again, Connect Douglas is in its infancy. We are, following what the guidelines are, because it's being funded through the ARC, and that's where we're getting the funding from, through the CMAQ grant. So your specific question in regards to
Signage,
okay.
the bus doesn't stop.
Okay.
It's just riding around, empty.
So
It doesn't stop. Nobody knows where to stand, or it's not being implemented.
Okay.
It's not being, it's just, they just keep going. It's a lot of bus stops, no route numbers on the bus stop. So how are people going to know where they're going?
Okay, got you. So those are things that we will address. I know Ron Roberts does know that. He asked to do a study. There have been quite a few people who want the buses to come near their home or through their subdivision, or, in some cases closer to them, so that they can utilize it. It's going to require a study. We just can't
But if
do away with the routes that are there now.
Exactly, but it doesn't stop anyway.
So has a bus actually passed you or not?
Every
It
day.
just did not stop?
Every day.
Wow, okay.
Every
So that's
day.
something we have to take up with the operators that we contracted to handle the bus routes. That shouldn't
Well,
be the
there's no
case.
place, it's not highlighted where the bus would stop anyway, where a person would know where to stand. It's just a post with a sign on it with no route number.
Got you.
And, people don't pay, hey, it's not going to stop. anyway. It doesn't even try to stop. They're just riding around.
Okay, so that's something that we can address now. We can take that up with the operators now. As a matter of fact, they came before us.
Well, I don't think it's the operators.
It has to be because they're the ones that's operating the
There's no-
buses.
yeah,
So
but there's
if the
no route
drivers,
number.
if the drivers are passing by, even the drivers though, they have a sheet and they know where the stops are.
Right.
So if there's somebody there, they
Right.
should be stopping. So that's no excuse.
Right.
So that's the drivers and that's who's holding the contract. So that's something, they just came before us 2 weeks ago. And I asked that question about customer service because that's one of the things that somebody has asked me about, the customer service of that. And I asked them, how many people actually live in Douglas County that operate the buses, that actually work for you?
Yes.
And she told me she would get back to me, and she did. And she said it was 60% of the drivers actually live in the county. So that tells me that they know the county because they live in it, right? So if you're telling me you're at a bus stop or you see somebody at a bus stop and they're whizzing by, then they're not paying attention. And those are things that we can address. So that, yes, I will take up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I neglected a while ago to tell y'all thank you for what you do. And I really appreciate you putting yourself out here today. And I know it has to be tough on that side of the table when you get fired out. One solution that I would like to offer for you on the zoning, because that has always been, like you say, it's always in every district. It's always seems to be short notice. And it's been frustrating no matter where you live. It seems to be this way. And I appreciate the idea that you're talking about tying it to GIS map, because I think that's a wonderful idea. If we could somehow in the meantime, and maybe even be a part of that solution, is maybe just put a QR code on the sign, and you could take a picture of that QR code and it would go right to the database and it would tell us, as soon as that sign goes up, what's going on there. Because looking at the commissioner's agenda, that only comes out like a day before, doesn't it? Is it only a day before?
It's at least a week.
At least a week before? Well, that would help. But anyway, just offering that solution there.
And just to help with that, so before, just so it was aware, we had, sorry, we had about a 4-week window. You brought me an application for zoning, it'd be about 4 weeks before the commissioners would hear it. We've backed that up to 6 weeks, so that within that next 2 weeks that we added to it, we will schedule a community information meeting at our transit center. So all of the cases that are booked on the agenda for that meeting, the applicants are asked to come to that community information meeting. And then everyone who lives adjacent to the property, unfortunately, it's just that, will get a letter saying your property is adjoining to a possible case. And if you want to come to the meeting, here's the community information date as well as the zoning hearing date. Now, one of the things that's different in this jurisdiction, I'm not sure all of you are aware, is that the commissioners sit with the planning commission in joint session. So they will hear a case, and that's why it feels like it's very crimped in terms of time. They hear the case and make the decision that night. That's not done anywhere else, literally in this state. This is the only county that does it. And we don't do it anywhere else in the country. Usually you go to a planning commission meeting, they hear the case, make a recommendation, and 2 weeks later, the Board of Commissioners votes on the case. So you have 2 hearings. That's not how we do it. We were asked to do this many years ago so that people who want to have a decision that night could get a decision on their case that evening. And we've talked about splitting the meetings up, and we've talked about it, but right now it seems like the impetus is to stay with the one meeting, which is why we've asked now to back every application up to 6 weeks. So you have a 2-week window where now we alert the neighbors, there's coming a case, you should come to this community meeting. And so we try to put that venue together. So we're not asking the developers to do it, because you would have a developer for Waffle House. He's going to rezone that property. He sends you all a letter and you go to some church somewhere, and that's how it used to be done. Well, we would never rely on them to get everybody noticed. So someone would come to the meeting and say, well, I didn't know. How would I know that that meeting was supposed to occur? So we try to do that for them now to help with that. But you're
so
right.
that's a commissioner's decision that to have it all in combined like that.
It's been that.
No.
That's been the agenda now for.
And before
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Many-
maybe we ought to visit that.
Yeah, many
and look at
decades it's been
Maybe
that
splitting
way.
it apart. If we
Many-
want people to come to the meeting, that's.
It's just two meetings.
Yeah,
So I will tell you, I asked that question when I first came aboard. I did ask that question when I came aboard.
Mhm.
I was told that applicants would tell the planning and zoning committee one thing, and then they would appeal the planning and zoning board's decision not to maybe recommend it, and then come to the commissioners, and the commissioners would pass it. This way, one time, we both hear what the applicant is saying, and then the decision is made, so that the applicant can't do what the other gentleman just said. You tell us you're doing a nail salon, but then you come back and you're building bays for your RVs and possibly getting ready to do a retail strip,
yeah,
where
I
we
think-
only gave you permission to do in-home nail care. So that was one of the reasons why they told me they did it. It is a very long meeting. We have meetings that run past midnight.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
familiar.
So I will take it back and again, ask how those meetings can be split or possibly gelled down. But there's a lot of movement in Douglas County, and a lot of people want to build in Douglas County.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's been that way since I-20 was here,
Yeah.
put in. It was discovered, and it's something that's
But
not unique to
but I
this
love your
time.
comment about the QR code. So
Yeah.
we will take that.
But
Thank you.
I would look at that because it gives you time to contemplate too. You hear all that, the commissioners could still be at that meeting, at the hearing, but you wouldn't take the final vote until 2 weeks or whatever time after that. That gives you time to consider everything and consider more input from your constituents, because they're only allowed 2 minutes to speak. Like the gentleman said here, you only got 2 minutes to speak. So you really can't get the point across or, on that. So I would ask that you consider that and maybe do it. Let's do it a different way. Even though maybe we've done it that way all the time, let's consider doing different ways. So that's all I can think of at the moment. Thank you.
One quick thing, I promise. I'm glad the young lady brought up the speeding and the concern as far as what's going on there. Yes. We have a concern about safety and security at Punkintown Park. But my bigger question is, from what I understand, Douglas County Sheriff's Office is down 40 plus police officers and a total of 50 plus personnel. What is our county doing to support our sheriffs so that they can go out and catch speeders? They can have the necessary resources and the necessary pay rates that are needed for our police officers, our first responders, our fire department. To me, that's a bigger issue than anything else we've talked about tonight.
So I'll let him take the 40 question, but I'll tell you the Board of Commissioners this year passed the pay increase across the board for our safety personnel. So 10%, 5%. It'll have to be graduated. But yeah, we did. And we put it in the sheriff's budget. I'll let him talk about how to get those 40 officers if that's possible. But we supported them. And again, remember, the need is all over Douglas County. We know safety is a priority. So it's bad all over. I don't want Douglas County to become like some of our partners to the east of us. But I think Sheriff Town does a great job of what he has, but definitely he could do a lot better. If he had more bodies on, patrolling those areas. And you're right, we're gonna need somebody to patrol coming now. Patrol, we're fixing up their lot. We're gonna need people in those areas, and that's gonna take bodies. And we can't make them pros to come to Douglas County. Those days are over with. If we want to attract good people, ethical officers, we gotta pay them. But that includes all of us. So that does mean once we, right now we're biding a little time because we have a little from the ARPA funds that we're using to subsidize this. But at some point, I hate to say it. In order to keep attracting good people like Lieutenant Pound, that means the taxpayers and all of us got to chip in. There is no other way.
We did that last year with 27%.
In 2020, yes, 2021 we didn't, but 2020, you're absolutely right. But I'll let them handle it.
We can always reallocate funds to different things. Even the chairwoman said that, you know, we can think out of the box and be creative. So,
When you reallocate, you cut.
yeah, something else gets.
A lot of things
So
here that you're looking
where's the
around.
priority?
Yeah, a lot of things that you see that are within the community, we are spread so thin. We are. Absolutely. That's why we're at the table right now with SDS and Ross, with all three of our cities, to make sure that they carry their fair share as much. We only give 22% credit back to our citizens in Douglas County for a tax credit on their property bill. We have cities that give 100% back. We have cities that give 40% back. The millage rate for the county is bigger than those for the city. So of course, all county residents pay county taxes, but everybody don't live in the city. So we have to right some wrongs in this negotiation, and that's what we're doing. And I'm fighting hard at the table because I was there today to make sure that we're doing that. If everybody pays their fair share, we can get that, but it takes all of us, not just one.
I just had one quick comment. I'll go ahead, he can go ahead and finish if he wants to, if he's got something to add to that.
Well, we were around 60, over 60 positions short. And that's due to people not want to be in law enforcement anymore. Sometimes the media is the worst enemy we've got because they sensationalize the bad things that law enforcement does and not the good things that we do. And no one wants to come to work and feel disrespected and then not get paid at the same time. So we're having a hard time, and we're making some progress, but as we are making progress and we're up in the salaries, the starting salaries, but by the time we get to where we are for our starting salaries, Cobb County is offering $10,000 more or the take-home car signing bonuses. And like you said, we have to make Douglas County attractive in order to get law enforcement to. That's why we can't be at every neighborhood checking for speed, because we got to pull from the road, because the sheriff is responsible for three things. That's the jail, it's the courts, and the papers. And if we don't have enough people to run either of those, then we got to pull from our specialized units to put them in those various places. So we do have to do more as a community to attract more people here, and the pay is a major incentive to make people want to come, to be ridiculed, and then on top of that, putting their lives on the line day in and day out.
Thank you.
Good evening. I am Katrina Harley. I'm your Douglas County E911 Director. And so as far as public safety, and when we talk about E911, of course, it's where it all begins with 911. We are the county's PSAP, and that stands for the Public Safety Answering Point for the county. And like Lieutenant Colonel Pounds said, it is very difficult to staff in these days and ages your public safety entities, right? So of course, with the pandemic in 2020, we had a lot of folks that retired. We had a lot of folks that just don't want to do this. These jobs require a lot from our employees. They work very long hours, and just for statistical purposes, we fielded over 244,000 calls last year in Douglas County. I am here with my Deputy Director, Tina Donnell. And Ms. Donnell has been with Douglas County 911 for 32 years, but we don't get that anymore. So we were just having a staff meeting this morning, and right now, as far as public safety personnel in the field of E911, we get 2 years at most from new employees coming in. It's just not in an attractive field that folks want to go into these days, but we have to be here. And so we have done some creative things. So we've reached out And for your county 911 system, so we work a little bit different in Douglas County. So we process all fire and EMS calls and dispatch in Douglas County. And we dispatch for the city of Douglasville Police. And then when there is a call that is in your unincorporated areas, we actually, for law enforcement, we transfer to the sheriff dispatch. They actually have a dispatch center with the sheriff's office. And so we work very closely with them as well. But we have reached out and we've done some creative things, job fairs when it comes, to the school system for those kids that are interested in fields in criminal justice. If they want to be law enforcement officers, they have to wait till they're 21. So we say, well, in 911, we can take them at 18. And so we can give them the training and several certifications and things that they need and just kind of get their foot in the door with criminal justice so that, when they turn 21, they can become law enforcement officers. So we are out here in the community. And I am a resident of District 3, so thank you, Commissioner Carthan, for this meeting because I learned some things as well. But we're out here in the community, and we're going to continue to be out here in the community because it is important to ensure that we are sufficiently staffed so that we can make Douglas County a safe place to be. It's where I live, work, and play. My husband taught in Douglas County school system, so it's where all of my children graduated from. So this community is very important to me as a citizen as well as an employee of this county.
I just have two quick comments. One of the things I think that the Planning and Zoning Committee misses hugely is when you bring anything, they tried to bring a school 5 houses up from my house in the subdivision. They tried to open a school there. They tried to put a Waffle House over by wherever. You don't affect the lots on either side, front and back of it. You affect the community. And why you get communities all up in arms and mad at you is because you don't include them when you're notifying things. You only notify the lot next to it, the lot in front of it, the lot behind it. Well, in Chapel Hill, that affects everybody all the way down Chapel Hill when you had 200 apartments. So that, to me, I think that would be something you might want to look at, is have bigger signs in the communities that it affects, that this is coming, that they need to go somewhere and find out about it. I think because you're trying to tell 2 people about, it's kind of like you're trying to do it, slip it through to the community because you only notify 4 people. And to me, that was very upsetting to me. They moved the sign so far back, I had to trespass and go on her lot to read it. And the whole community got up in arms. And to me, I think that would help you. And the only thing I can say for the commissioners is the lady that answers your phone, she won't let you talk to a commissioner. She won't take your name and number. She tries to handle everything herself. And she point blank told me if I want to talk to commissioners, I need to come to the meeting.
Would the Douglas County Happenings email help this gentleman get the zoning information out? Because 9 times out of 10, there's like 7 things that's been on there since 1990. So you just kind of skip over those. But I mean, would that help? That would be an easy bit. I don't know if you all get it, if you get the Douglas County Happenings email. But I mean, there's some good information in there, and that might be a way to let folks know.
That's a perfectly good
A
idea.
cheap and easy way.
And just so you're real clear on, used to the smaller rooms. So the state act, when it comes to planning and zoning, does not require us to alert anybody except through the newspaper. That's the only requirement. And that it be advertised 15 to 45 days ahead of that meeting. We go above that a little bit. We're still tinkering with it. We will notify everyone who is adjacent. That's pretty standard. We have talked about expanding that out to a radius. So put a centroid in 300 feet out. That's a possibility as well. We're still working on it. So it's still a work in progress as to how many folks get notified. But you're right, signage helps. We've made the signs a little bigger this year. They were much smaller before. Helping with a QR code is a great idea. It's a little hard when you're driving 50 to try and catch that QR code, but maybe you can get somebody to hang out the window with the phone at least and get the QR code, or you can stop somewhere safely and get the QR code. I will tell you that we do park signs on property once every 300 feet. We're meticulous about that piece of it. the people putting the signs out may not be as accurate as we used to be, but I've put 10, 20, 15 signs out on a given project so that we cover all those public rights of way adjoining and making sure that there is the proper notice out. But you're right, there's all kinds of ways to improve how everybody gets noticed on this. I don't know if we're going to use the app that everybody in the neighborhoods always uses to put agendas online to say, wait a minute, got something going on here at this property. I mean, that's another idea, is to contact the apps and say, okay, here's a case coming up in your neighborhood.
Open door. Mhm. Can I? Okay. Question for you guys here, again with zoning, because we do have so much development going on. Just a question, is there a developer's fee being charged to these developers? Is that somewhere where we can increase and maybe get additional funds so as that we can kind of get these tools that we need for planning and zoning a little faster?
Yeah, you have to take that up with the state legislature. The act that creates the ability to do zoning in the first place regulates what we as a county and a city can charge developers as far as development impact fees. You would be astonished to find that other states allow school impact fees, fire impact fees, police
Exactly.
impact fees. All of
Exactly.
these are charged per lot. Our laws are a little different here, so it's more complicated than just saying, well, let's just charge every lot. We have application fees, obviously, so we try to pay for staff time and the resources that go into each case. But we don't, the WSA has a very big, Water Sewer Authority has a very big fee when you are a developer and want to put a meter in, want to put water and sewer into a property. So they have tap fees. They're huge. But the biggest fee we have right now, and we're still talking, because in the comp plan, we're going to come up with some things just like you're talking about, fees for public art spaces, the kinds
A
of things.
percentage,
A percentage.
a percentage.
Something per lot that we can charge and create value beyond just that area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, is that just done through the state? Is that what you're telling me? We have to go through the state and that's not something that we can do locally here?
It is not easily done locally because it's a financing mechanism, and we're limited in what we're allowed to charge developers for in terms of impact fees. Other states have those automatically by state enabling act.
But when we say impact, they impact security, they impact traffic, they
Mhm.
impact,
Oh, yeah.
schools, they impact safety, they impact quite a few things. And so if those are the things that we're putting the money, I mean, and that's where those percentages are going to, I would think that that shouldn't be an issue, because that's, again, within the community. And you said that's something that you all are looking into,
Oh,
though.
yeah. As part of
Okay.
the comprehensive plan process that we go through the rest of this year, Allison and I are our director of planning and zoning,
Okay.
manager of planning and zoning. She and I have talked about this ad nauseum. How do we get this stuff fixed? Because we've come into a situation that we're not used to. This is not the way other jurisdictions do business. We're hamstrung to a point.
But then if we could just use some case examples or something like that, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No,
So
they're there.
it makes it very simple when we look to see where other people are doing it and
Yep.
what they're doing. So that was planning and zoning. And then to go to Colonel Pounds, Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, when we talk about safety and trying to attract people, again, looking at something that's helped elsewhere, do we provide any type of housing assistance or anything like that for officers here in Douglas County?
No, man, we don't.
And I asked that question because I see that there's a police car that's in my neighborhood, and I think it's a Marietta police officer that lives here, probably because it's a little bit more affordable. This is where he and his family, just decided to move. They're new people in our area. But in the city of Sandy Springs, I know that they give their officers some type of housing, allowance or something like that. And if that's something that, I know we're already kind of crunched for housing. That's an issue because of in this market, it takes money, right? But if that's something that we can get a grant for or something, there's different things that I know that are out there. And again, it is being innovative. And I just was curious as to whether or not that's something that everybody has to have some place to live. And I think that that's a big incentive, and we could probably get some type of funding or grants. I know you say, look for it, find the money. Okay. I saw the look I can see to your eyes. Okay. Find that money. But just, that was a recommendation. You know, it's not just the money, but it's also housing, good neighborhoods, safe housing, good schools. Those are the things that these officers also want. So it's not always just a $10,000, because you can get a $10,000 bonus and then work somewhere where you don't want to be. So if you can come into a nice neighborhood, and I think that that helps our neighborhoods too, if our officers live in our communities, it slows down the speeding. You know, it kind of helps with the safety and all that other stuff. So,
But as far as the housing goes, now there are some subdivisions and apartment complexes that will allow them to have a discounted rent or mortgage
okay,
if they stay in that neighborhood, but in return, they do have to patrol that neighborhood. So yes, to answer your question, there is some type of housing, but that's not for everyone.
right,
You understand? So
right. I know, and this is not a time in our community where we can do this, but back in the time when housing was abundant and you had foreclosures going on and cities needed to buy up some of those vacant houses, they turned them into officer housing so that the officers could live all throughout the communities. We're not dealing with that right now. We've got investors coming in and they're doing what they want to do, causing more problems. That was just a little something. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So right before we, wrap this up, because I didn't want to keep y'all too long, we do have our SPLOS Communications Director here, David Good. SPLOS has allowed, let me just say this, Douglas County cannot, on the backs of the taxpayers, build everything that we need, pay for everything that we need. We just can't, right? Because we would be charging a millage rate that even I couldn't afford, right? None of us could. So in order to do that, we ask everybody that comes into the county, hey, that 1% tax goes a long way. It has really gone a long way. Well, the person who has helped us to kind of keep that going and ensures that what we put on the books actually gets done, and he communicates to each commissioner what's in their district, where the project is, how it's coming along, the percentage of it, when we're getting ready to close on it. Hey, come take a look at it. That's David Good. He's awesome with communicating that to us so that we can communicate it to you, the constituents. So just wanted to give him a little time because again, this may be on your ballot in November, and I want you to know it's something that not just you, but every single person that comes into this county, that 1 cent goes to help us fund things in the county that makes a difference. So I'll let him have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Carthan. I want to stand on one of those walk around type of people. Right now, you guys should have a 1-pager front and back. I developed this so people within their own communities can know exactly what's going on in their area. So that sheet right there shows everything that's going on in District 3. There are some larger projects that's in there, like maybe I believe it's Fire Station number 9. There's a Lee Road widening, which actually affects different districts, but the amounts of those projects affects everyone. But again, I'm David Good, and I want you guys to know that your SPLOS dollars have helped Douglas County. We consider it's a penny on every dollar. So anytime you spend $1, a penny of that goes to everything that we're doing here, whether it's going to be doing things over there at Fire Station number 3 and Fire Station number 5. And we have Chief back there in the back. He could tell you that all the things that we're doing are actually some pretty good things. We actually did a backing in ceremony over at Fire Station number 5, and we did a wash down, I believe, was that Chapel Hill Elementary? Yes, that Chapel Hill Elementary. Madam Carthan did speak at that event. So that we were actually trying to show the citizens that you guys' pennies are working. When we first started, we were getting about $1.9 million per month. At one time, we didn't know if we could even get to as high as 147, which was our goal. And then right during the pandemic, somehow, some way, people started to spend local. They started to drive local. People started, if they lost a job, guess what they did? They started Ubering. They started finding out ways of saying, you know what, I live in this neighborhood, I need to help build it up, and I need to be able to actually feed my family. So we started seeing our SPLOS dollars go up to where now we're averaging about 2.8 million. So that's almost $1 million more than we were averaging just 3 years ago. And so right now we're in the last year of the SPLOS. And if you guys have this other card, it says the 5-year strategic priorities. The SPLOS actually answers more than half of those projects. You have the public safety, which of course, right now on our SPOS is fire EMS 911 radio system. It's a digital radio system. That was our highest amount at that time that was in fire EMS. And that radio system, as you see on your chart, is a little bit under $16 million. At one time, different organizations, different people could not hear each other. If there was accident on the freeway, Cobb County came, City of Douglasville came, and then Douglas County came, they couldn't speak to each other. But now they can, because this radio system was able to go up. If you drive past fire station number 5, you'll see a very tall tower there. That's one of the towers that we built out. So fire EMS and public safety is a strategic priority to the commissioners. Madam Carthan, she will fight to the death for you to make sure fire EMS is out there, make sure you have public safety. Same thing when it comes to you have Parks and Rec. Parks and Recs only was 17%, but we're able to do a lot with that 17%. Most people know that anytime you build a building or build something going on, it's not going to be able to be in everybody's district. So some of them in District 1, you have these new senior center. I've been by there, you can walk around the park, you can actually go inside, work out, go into the little pool. It's not a swimming pool. It's not one that you could do some strokes on, but you can go in there and actually have a good time. We've had events there. So that was something that was beneficial to the seniors in District 1, but guess what? If you're a senior anywhere, you can still use that. You go out there to District 2, you go out there to Boundary Waters, there's a brand new multipurpose center, 30,000 square feet, 2 stories tall, has a track and workout upstairs, has a dual basketball court on the bottom. I've been there maybe like 15, 16 times. And the times I've been there, there's either meetings, events going on inside, or there's actually people out there playing basketball, or I have no idea where pickleball came from, but for some reason they love playing pickleball everywhere. If you go out there to Deer Lake Park, you'll see brand new tennis courts. And those tennis courts, guess what's built there? Pickleball court, because they like to play pickleball court out there. So out here in District 3, you actually have Bulmar Park, which is one of the oldest parks in the county. And we were able to put a new concession stand. We put a ADA compliant walkway in order to get from the lower fields up to the concession stand. And at one time, we were feeling that it was going to cost about $600,000 to do the concession stand, dugout, and fencing. When we did Boundary Waters concession, it went up in price. It went up from 500, 600,000 to almost $1 million. And so when we got ready to do this other part, doing build up and fair play, we saw that we can't do everything. Let's just do the concession for $6 something. We were able to do the concession stands, and they came in a little bit above budget. And now we just approved, I believe, it's 1.5 million just to do the fencing and dugout at Bulmar and at Fairplay, combine them together. So as these revenues have gone up, guess what else has gone up? The price of steel has gone up. Labor has gone up. Meaning there's so many projects around there, people who are doing this saying, well, I'm not going to do it for a little bit of this money. I'm going to want to charge as much as I can. So we're finding that even with the prices going up, we are still being able to manage. We make sure we go to every commission meeting, find out what is it that they want. We actually come out to different events and find out, well, what is it that you want to advocate for? All your commissioners will advocate for you in different ways. This commissioner, she advocates for a lot of different things. I mean, you guys are going to end up getting a library, whether a new SPOS is approved, now you still have someone fighting for you to get a new library, fighting for you guys to actually get money coming in to go to fire safety, going into police safety. So as you go through your different commissioners, please advocate for what you want, because they'll advocate for you. If you're saying, well, you know what, I need to do something in Parks and Rec, and then you talk to Madam Carthan, make sure you send an email out there over there to Commissioner Mitchell, because he's the chair, she's the vice chair. If it's in transportation, send something out there to Vice Chairman. I'm forgetting his name. Robinson. Lord have mercy, he's going to kill me for that. Vice Chairman Robinson, and then also to Madam Chair, because she's the vice chair of that one. And then at the same time, if you have anything going on in fire EMS, Commissioner Guider, she is a strong advocate for anything going on in fire EMS and in public safety. So with that, I'll go ahead and get ready to close. But again, make sure you look on both sides of this page, because you'll see where your SPOS pennies are going. And again, if you guys' biggest piece is that we all roll on all these roads, please make sure that you end up talking about, hey, what do you want resurfaced? Right now, I believe Dorset Shoals is being resurfaced from Chapel Hill to Highway 5. So make sure that you actually advocate for that. In other districts, like in District 2, you actually have them getting ready to resurface some neighborhoods. So talk to your commissioners, find out, let them know, hey, I've rolled up a pothole. Call them up and say, hey, mess my tires up, can I get this resurfaced? You'll be amazed with just making a phone call or an email will do. So with that, I'll go ahead and sit down and take any questions.
Let me get my 2 minutes in. Going back to this lady here concerning getting more police officers and first responders. I'm actually in the middle of all that. I'm a landlord. Since 2020, COVID, there's a lot of months I'm not getting paid. Plain and simple. I let people stay. I charge about 30% less than what you see on Zillow. All right. I try to improve my properties to the point where they all have architectural roofs. They don't look like rental properties. I take care of my stuff. Okay, some of my properties in that even have upgraded kitchens with granite tops, stainless appliances, because I want to draw that good person that actually pays. Okay, it's not happening. Okay, I am actually selling properties in Douglasville to move into Carroll. Just completed one a couple months ago. I got a ways to go, but if I knew that public safety employees, in other words, the county or city guarantees a rent, I can lower my rent. Plain and simple, I would be ecstatic seeing a police car every day in that rental driveway. Oh yeah. Okay, and I'm guaranteed a rent based on, well, I'm charging less than market. As a matter of fact, my daughter-in-law recently, her rent doubled. She works for the fire department right here in this county. She also had to move out into Carroll County. So as the deputy chief appraiser, you want to, I know you're caught between budgets and taxes. Okay, when my tax bills come in, should I absorb it all? Okay, my average tenant stays would be 7 years. But I could do much better if I just sold out and let Tricon Homes and Invitation Homes come in and snap them all up. And that would just, none of my tenants could afford it, but I don't. So if I knew there was a program where it's police, fire department, or sheriff, if I knew that that rent was guaranteed on the back end in case there was an issue with the tenant, I'd fill mine all up. As a matter of fact, I sell everything in Carroll County, just come back into Douglas. Because wow, what a sweet deal that is. Okay, just, you know. Well,
that sounds different than what I.
you see my predicament.
But I do see what you're saying, but.
So
it was-
I
in
can't.
this- In this case, the county owned the house.
Well,
So it's a little different, but I hear what you're
The-
saying.
okay, I lost a lot of money. And I'm attempting to figure out, should I keep going? Or should I stay? So I just had a conversation before I came here with a tenant. Okay. The appraiser is going to come in higher, your taxes are higher. Okay. You haven't seen a bump in rent in 4 years. It's coming, I'm afraid, because services are going up. It's a mean spiral. So I'm in the middle of that spiral, and I've taken my blood bath. And what should I do? Because some of the properties directly across the street from where we're talking about, Invitation Homes owns properties in my neighborhood and are asking 1,800 plus.
Wow.
I
I
char-
want her to talk about that. One second.
I charge $12.35.
Wow, wow. I don't know if you want to put that out on air, but it's out there now. So.
That's okay. That's okay.
But thank you for that, because that's a good segue for her. Yes.
So.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Adrian Larkshield. I am the Deputy Chief Appraiser in the Tax Assessor's Office here. I have been here since October of last year. I came by way of Cobb County and Fulton. The new Chief Appraiser did pull me out here to Douglas County, and I'm glad I came. And as he is speaking about values and housing values and the market, we have just finished sending out or getting ready to send out our notices tomorrow. The value, overall value for the whole county, including commercial, industrial, and residential, has increased on our digest by at least 20%. Yes. And by law, we have to be within a certain percentage of the market, and we're in at 38%, which is really 95% of the 100%. So we're not trying to get you all the way what the market has. We're just a little bit below. The notices for residential will be going out tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So we'll be mailing those out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for your notices starting this weekend and next week. And you can file an appeal for your property if you need to. You have 45 days. You'll have until August 8th to file an appeal. The commercial property notices will be going out on July the 1st with a deadline of August the 15th. But again, the market with the investors coming in, especially here in Douglas County, have really gone up, as you know, about the climate here as far as housing is concerned. They are buying up a lot and making the market go up somewhat. So by law, we have to get close to the market. We tried to be conservative as we could without hurting the taxpayers in the county. So if you do feel like your value is too high, make sure that you file an appeal within that 45-day deadline. So you have any questions? Oh, and I have paperwork on understanding your assessment notice, and I have some appeal forms over on the table if you're interested in doing that. And how I understand it is over here. All that's over there. Yes, ma'am.
So I wanted her to break the news to you before I did. You know, and it hurts me too, because I'm in the city and the county, so I get hit twice. However, you know, to the gentleman's point, you know, Douglas County has Douglas County is growing. There is no way around it. Cost of services are going up. That means we have to get up with the times. Like Lieutenant Colonel Pound said, nobody's going to come here and work here in the county for peanuts, right? And get treated any kind of way. Now, we take that abuse as commissioners. You know, I only make $21,000 a year working for you. I can take that abuse, right? It's what I signed up for. So the emails that I get, the calls that I get, you know, the comments, it just comes with the territory. I don't take it personally. However, those that we hire, they don't deserve that, right? Because they are working for you. And so the best way that we can give you the type of service and give you what you need is to be fair across the board. That means that the retail establishment have to pay their part. That means the commercial has to pay their part, the warehouses have to pay their part, and the residential. And so those who are coming in here will have to pay their part. If they're taking it up, they're going to have to pay their part. So just remember that when you get your tax bill, it is not the Board of Commissioners. It is the influx of people who are coming into this county, who see the value in this county, and they are the ones who are capitalizing on that. And yes, it does take the values. I've been out here 22 years now. I've seen my property values skyrocket. I've seen the tax bill skyrocket. As a matter of fact, last year, somebody came to my house and was like, hey, you got a porch in the back, which I do. I just had it screened in, that's all. Just put some screens around it. Guess what? They count that now as square footage that's under. So I gotta pay for that, right? Just because I put some screens around it. But I can't complain, right? I did it. So now I have to pay, you know, for what I did. But there's no way around it. There's no way around the higher property values. When we sell, we love it. But while we're living here, we don't want to pay it. Yeah, and you can't buy, you know, even for what the market is outside of Douglas County. So
The only thing is that as a homeowner, I hope that all of these people that are the investors that are owning these houses, they need to pay a little bit more.
In commercial.
They need to pay, they need to pay, and it needs to, you know, it's a new thing that's happening now when you have these apps and all this other stuff where people can Airbnb the houses and how the houses are used differently with the investors. We have to charge them more money because we're paying for all of that stuff.
So your commissioner addressed that last year, just so you know. I did have us to get a company that we now contracted. Is it Granicus? Granicus, right? So that we can capture that, because you're absolutely right. If you're running a business out of that, you should pay more, right? Because now there's an influx of people, more people that are coming onto that property. They're using up the roads, right? The noise, sheriff's being called out more because it is an Airbnb property, right? We didn't know that until a constituent like you brought that to our attention, brought it to my attention. I brought it to their attention, right? So this is why I do these meetings, for things just like that. So yes, we are addressing that. We are catching them, and it has brought in some.
Well, we haven't brought any money in yet.
Okay.
But we have brought applications in, so.
Perfect.
So thanks to Commissioner Carthan, there's a law. So that's the bottom line.
It's coming. It's coming. Thank you all so much for coming out. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Please call me. I always give out my phone number, 404-808-4876. Yes, y'all do text. Yes, y'all do call. And yes, I do return calls and sometimes answer the phone if I'm available. Thank you to our fire chief back there, Chief Jolivet. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for all you do for the county. And again, thank you for what you do. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.